Are you looking to get out of automatic mode on your camera? Do you want to take dreamy bokeh or tack-sharp photos? There are two shooting modes that many digital cameras have on them that allow you to take a step away from the automatic settings that you might be spending a lot of time on, so you can take advantage of some of the more advanced features your camera offers. They're intermediate steps, and they can help to get you to manual mode eventually. The two shooting modes are Aperture Priority Mode and Shutter Priority Mode. Hang on till the end of this video because I'm going to explain the differences between Aperture Priority Mode and Shutter Priority Mode and when to use both to improve your shooting. Hi, I'm Jim Costa. I'm a full-time working photographer, video producer, video editor, and technology pro. If you like what you see in this video, stick around to the end because I've got a couple of photography, video, filmmaking, and editing freebies, and even some training courses that I'll tell you about that will definitely help to improve your photography and video production work and help grow your business through earned media exposure, which basically means how to get free advertising for your business. You can help to support my channel by purchasing my training courses, requesting my free downloads, and by hiring me to shoot or edit for you. Remember, I welcome your comments, questions, and more on all of my videos. If you like what you see, subscribe to my channel and hit that bell to be notified every time I upload a new video each Wednesday. I've also done other videos on camera settings and improving your photography, and I'll link to those in the description below. Briefly, let's take a look at the difference between these two shooting modes. Aperture Priority, listed on your camera as either A or AV, depending upon which camera you have, lets you choose the aperture or the f-stop setting you want, but the camera chooses the shutter speed for you. Shutter Priority, listed as either S or TV on different manufacturers, lets you choose the shutter speed you want, but the camera chooses the aperture setting. An important note, you can choose the desired ISO with either of those two settings that you choose. Aperture and shutter priority modes are really semi-manual or semi-automatic, depending upon how you look at it, modes. They give you some control over your settings, but also ensure you have a well-exposed image by the camera making some of the decisions on settings for you. So let's take a look at each of them in more detail, and we'll start with Aperture Priority Mode. The Aperture Priority Shooting Mode allows you to take control of the aperture, whereas the shutter speed and ISO, if you happen to be set on auto ISO, are still controlled by the camera. This means that you can adjust the amount of light entering into the camera through the lens. So, using Aperture Priority, you can set the aperture value as per your needs, and that way you can control the depth of field. Unlike the automatic modes, this mode gives you the freedom to adjust the aperture value and set the amount of blur effect that you want in your photo or even in the scenes that you shoot if you're shooting video. When should you use the Aperture Priority Mode? As I discussed, Aperture Priority Mode allows you to control the aperture value, which ultimately affects the depth of field of whatever you shoot. This shooting mode is ideal if you want to adjust the depth of field as per your desire, whereas you leave the shutter speed and ISO value selecting up to the camera itself. So what are some situations? Well, let's look at some. The first one is taking portraits. Taking portraits or close-up shots is relatively straightforward, and usually you want to keep the subject in focus and blur out the background. By choosing a large aperture, which is a small number, the f-stop number, using Aperture Priority Mode, you can manually choose the required aperture, such as something like 1.8 or 2.8, to achieve a shallow depth of field. The next situation where you might want to use this, if you're doing something like shooting landscapes. While shooting landscapes or even cityscapes, you might want to have both the foreground and the background very much in focus. This is only possible if you manually choose a small aperture, which is a high f-stop number. Aperture Priority Mode gives you the freedom to select the desired aperture value, maybe like f/16 or f/22, to get a very deep depth of field while your camera takes care of the shutter speed and the ISO. Another situation where you might want to use this mode, low lighting. Suppose you are in a dim lighting condition and your photos are coming out underexposed. By increasing the size of the aperture opening, selecting a smaller aperture value like f1.8, you can allow more light into your camera and capture a better exposed image. Another situation where you might want to use this is during midday bright sunlight. If you're shooting in broad daylight and are getting overexposed images or scenes while shooting in automatic mode, you can close the aperture opening. This means that by using a higher aperture number, something like f/16 or higher, you can minimize the amount of light entering the camera through the lens. Now the next mode is shutter priority mode. In this mode, you, as a photographer or cinematographer, choose the shutter speed that you wish to shoot at and let the camera make a decision about what aperture to select to give a well-exposed shot. As the name suggests, shutter priority mode allows you to take advantage of the shutter speed. Just to brainstorm, shutter speed is the duration for which the camera shutter remains open for the light to enter the camera and hit the sensor. In other words, how much time it's open. The slower the shutter speed is on the camera, the more light is received by the image sensor. Similarly, the faster the shutter speed, the less light that actually hits the sensor. While you are shooting in shutter priority mode, you have the freedom to adjust the shutter speed as your requirements require, while the camera chooses the aperture and ISO value on its own. So when should you use shutter priority mode? As just discussed, if you want to take full control of the shutter speed and experiment with your camera, then this is the ideal camera mode for you. So let's look at a couple of situations where you're most likely to shoot in shutter priority mode. The first one is you want to freeze a moving subject. If you want to freeze a fast-moving animal or bird or car in your photo, you do so by setting a fast shutter speed. A shutter speed of anything faster than 1/500th of a second is considered ideal for freezing an object, but this may vary depending upon the speed of your subject. Your camera will judge the required aperture and ISO values as per the available light. Situation 2, when you want to show movement. If you are out and planning to capture star trails, for example, or light trails on a freeway, or take blue hour photos or videos, you would have to select a slow shutter speed so that the subject's movement is well captured in a single image or in the scene. To capture long exposure photos, for example, you must carry a tripod along to avoid any kind of camera shake and blur introduced into this image. Here's another situation where you can consider it dim lighting. If you are in dim lighting conditions, you might get underexposed photos while shooting in automatic mode. By simply reducing the shutter speed, say from 1/200th of a second to 1/50th of a second, you can allow more light into the camera and capture a well-exposed image or scene. An important note, watch out for the shutter speed going too slow because this will introduce shake into whatever you shoot. Another situation, broad daylight. Let's suppose you are shooting in broad daylight and your camera is capturing overexposed image or footages while shooting in automatic mode. Here you can increase the shutter speed. This means that by using a faster shutter speed, something like 1/200th of a second or higher, up to maybe 1/1000th of a second, you can minimize the amount of light entering the camera sensor. Shutter and aperture priority modes do give you more control over your images, but they do take a little practice to get used to them. As you use them, you need to not only think about the setting that you select, but also keep an eye on the setting that the camera selects for you. When shooting in AV or TV modes, it's often best to bracket your shots and take a number of different images of the same subject, when you have time to do so, at different settings. This will ensure that you're likely to get at least one good shot that meets your needs. The best way to learn about shutter priority and aperture priority modes is to grab your camera and head out and shoot with it and experiment. Switch to AV or TV mode and start playing with the different settings, taking lots of shots as you go. Particularly watch how the camera makes changes to compensate for your selections and what impact it has upon the shots that you take. In aperture priority mode, take some shots at the largest aperture you can, which are the smallest f numbers, and see how it blurs the background, but also increases the shutter speed, and then head to the other end of the spectrum and take some shots at the smallest aperture you can, which are largest numbers, and see how it keeps more of your image in focus. In shutter priority mode, play with fast and slow shutter speeds and see how it impacts the depth of field. Don't be frustrated if your initial shots are not what you expected. It takes practice to get your head around these modes. But keep in mind that when you do master them, you'll have a lot more creative control over your shots, and you'll be a lot closer to getting off automatic on your camera and to full manual. Using aperture and shutter priority are camera modes that enable you to get familiar with how the lens's aperture and the camera's shutter speed work. These modes ensure that you will get well-exposed photos with your desired selection of aperture value and shutter speed, unlike automatic mode where the camera makes all the decisions for you. Now, if this is making sense, put "I've got it" in the comments section below. My question of the day is, what is your favorite camera shooting mode? Leave a comment below and let us know. If you found the info in this video useful, I'd like to hear about it from you. If you like what you saw and you want to see more videos like this, then follow my YouTube channel, Jim Costa Films. If you think what you saw was great, please like it. If you have an opinion, feel free to comment below. If you know someone who could benefit from the info I've provided, please share the video. You can connect with me and my company, Jim Costa Films, on social media and online, on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, and the web by searching for Jim Costa Films. In fact, I currently have over 4,470 videos on my YouTube channel, Jim Costa Films, so feel free to check out many of my other videos for great tips and suggestions. Thank you for sticking around this long. I mentioned at the beginning about some freebies and training. As a professional video producer and photographer, I've created an absolutely free cheat sheet for you on all the best camera settings to shoot with your DSLR, mirrorless, and video camera that will show you the settings that will allow your photos, and particularly your videos, to shine and stand out from the competition. The link to get the cheat sheet is just below in the video description. Best of all, my cheat sheet specializes in shooting video with any type of camera. In it, you will find all the info you need on important video techniques such as white balance, color temperature, frame rates, and more. I've also created an editing training for Adobe Premiere Pro. My Quick Start training is designed to get you up and editing video in under 2 hours and includes more than 100 tips, tricks, and keyboard shortcuts for video editors to make your workflow go much smoother. And now, I'm also affiliated with Christina Nicholson, a fellow media veteran like myself, who helps businesses and entrepreneurs reach tons of their ideal customers or clients through the power of media without spending big bucks on advertising. I've worked with Christina and used her advice and training successfully, so I know from firsthand experience that it works great. The program Christina and I are now offering is called the Media Mentoring Program, and it will help you to take advantage of mainstream media so you can stand out from the competition because it's not something that everyone has access to. Best of all, unlike paid ads and sponsorships, you can gain lots of exposure and credibility to become the go-to brand everyone wants to do business with, and who we'll talk about without spending a lot of money on advertising, because most of the techniques listed in there are free or almost no cost to you. I'll link to those cheat sheets and training courses in the description below as well. There's videos on both courses that will give you an overview of how they work and links so you can get more information. Finally, if you follow me for a while now, you may know that I have a private community of photographers, videographers, and filmmakers just like you on Facebook, where I share other pro tips and tricks. It's called Video Producers and Content Creators. I love new members who want to share their work, learn from others, and also help others based on their own skills and experiences. You'll find a link to that group in the description below, so feel free to join the group where you can learn even more.